Welcome to The Explainer. You know, in the time it takes to even read that title, your brand has probably already won or lost a potential customer online. Today, we're going to tackle why those first few seconds are absolutely everything as we dive into the 5-second rule. Okay, let's start with a kind of weird analogy for marketing, fallen floor bacon. Yeah, you know the feeling, right? It hits the floor and you've got about 5 seconds to decide if it's salvageable. Turns out, your brand's message faces that exact same rapid, ruthless judgment. And that right there, that's the whole idea behind what we're talking about today, the 5-second rule of marketing. It's a really simple concept, but it has some pretty profound implications for literally anyone trying to cut through all the noise out there. Look, in a world of infinite scrolling and a million things competing for our eyes, this isn't just some friendly suggestion. It's a fundamental rule for survival. Your first 5 seconds aren't just important, they might be all you ever get. So, the big question is why? Why is this window of opportunity so incredibly short? Well, the answer lies in what a lot of experts are calling the digital attention economy. Just think of it like a marketplace, but instead of money, the currency is human attention. And it's the most valuable and for sure the most limited resource there is. Every single swipe, every click, every view, it's a transaction. And the competition is absolutely fierce. To give you an idea of just how insane it is, get this. Back in 2020, over 30,000 hours of video were being uploaded to YouTube every single hour. And that number has just exploded since then. The sheer volume of content is, well, it's staggering. So what happens when you're hit with this tidal wave of content? You have no choice but to become a ruthless editor of your own feed. You filter, you skim, you scroll past almost everything, which makes the job of an advertiser incredibly, incredibly difficult. Okay, enough theory. Let's dive into the hard data that really shows just how fleeting our attention is. The numbers here really don't lie. Now, this is really interesting. Take a look at the attention curve from a study by Lumen and Snapchat. This chart shows us the percentage of people still paying attention over time. And just look at that dramatic drop-off. It's not a gentle slope, it's a cliff. The vast majority of your audience is gone in less than 2 seconds. That's your window. And this brings us to a brilliant and crucial point from research by Dentsu. Just because an ad is technically viewable, it loaded on the screen, that doesn't mean a human eye ever actually looked at it. To really hammer this point home, an IPG Media Lab study found that a shockingly low 17% of people who even glanced at an ad could remember anything about it later. Think about that. For every 100 people who technically saw your ad, 83 of them forgot it instantly. That's a massive recall problem. So what this all tells us is that getting past that 4-second mark is the first major hurdle. That's the point where you might achieve just a 25% recall rate. It's really the minimum entry fee for making any kind of memorable impression. All right, so that's the problem. Sounds a little bleak, right? But it's not impossible to win. Let's shift gears and talk about the solution, your playbook for winning those critical first few seconds. So social science actually gives us a playbook based on these things called human heuristics. They're basically just the predictable mental shortcuts our brains use to make super fast judgments. By tapping into these shortcuts, you can make your message stick way faster. And it's not just deep psychology, right? There are some simple tactical things you can do that are vital for capturing that first glance. Little things like putting your brand front and center or choosing ad placements in less cluttered spaces can make a huge difference. So why does mastering these 5 seconds really matter to your bottom line? Let's get to the good stuff, the return on investment for capturing just a little bit more of that precious attention. So what's the real-world impact here? Well, the data shows that if you can secure just a tiny 5% incremental increase in attention, that small boost can lead directly to a solid 4.4% increase in brand recall. That's a real, tangible lift in how many people actually remember who you are. And here's the real kicker. It can generate a whopping 12.5% lift in brand favorability. So people don't just remember you, they actually like your brand more. That's the power of a few extra seconds. The takeaway here is crystal clear. Attention isn't just some fluffy vanity metric. It's like gold dust. Every single fraction of a second you can earn delivers real, measurable value to your brand. And that leaves us with a final thought, a question you should probably apply to every single thing you create from now on. It might just be the most important question a marketer can ask today. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.